From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Earlier this year, Montana VA healthcare system sent nurses across the country to help areas that were hardest hit by the pandemic. But now Montana is one of those hardest hit areas. MTN's John Riley spoke with some of the nurses helping the VA respond to the crisis.
This year, South Carolina native Jennifer Price will be spending Thanksgiving 1,700 miles away from her family to help cover shifts at the Montana VA Medical Center. Price is one of more than 20 nurses from out of state directly deployed through the Disaster Emergency Medical Personnel System, or DEMPS, to assist the VA with the pandemic.
Well, as a military family, my husband's a veteran, so we're pretty used to spending holidays apart. And for us, it's just another sacrifice that we're willing to make for the greater good. I do, just want to reach out and also ask from a standpoint of seeing so many veterans sick and seeing so many employees sick that just wearing a mask can make a huge difference, especially right now here in Montana because the cases are climbing so high.
A third of the intensive care unit staff were out due to COVID last week, and the VA lost an employee earlier this year to COVID complications. The VA has been cross-training qualified employees to help fill in gaps in critical departments. Ju Chowning currently serves as risk manager for the Montana VA. However, before taking the position, Chowning worked as an ER and rural nurse. In the past month, Chowning has been getting back into her scrubs to cover shifts in the ER. Chowning says the pandemic has taken a physical and emotional toll, especially on the frontline staff.
It's that bigger picture. I'm a very small piece in a really big picture. But if I can help those nurses do another day, then that's what it's about.
While nurses say that they're happy to help out, they urge Montanans to wear masks and follow COVID guidelines. The pandemic isn't over, and those individual actions can help prevent more families from needing their care. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
And it was another rough one on the COVID-19 front as 27 more Montanans have died from COVID-related illness, along with 911 new positive cases. Flathead County reported the most new deaths with 9, while Cascade County reported 8. Yellowstone County saw 3 more deaths today. The death toll in Montana has now reached 679 since the pandemic began. Gallatin County saw the most new cases today with 159, while Yellowstone had 112. Over in Wyoming, Governor Mark Gordon tested positive for COVID-19 this morning. Gordon's office says he has minor symptoms and plans to continue working remotely as he recovers from the virus. The announcement comes on the same day Wyoming legislators announced they would delay the bulk of the 2021 legislative session until the spring. This news as COVID-19 cases also continue to climb at a fast pace in the Cowboy State. The state now has more than 26,000 cases and 200 deaths. Natrona County is the hot spot right now with close to 4,000 cases. President Trump has granted a reprieve to his first national security advisor, Michael Flynn. The move is the highest profile pardon the president has issued since he took office. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
President Trump's full pardon of Michael Flynn ends a long legal saga for his former national security advisor. In a tweet, President Trump said, "I know you will now have a truly fantastic Thanksgiving," while Flynn's family thanked the president for answering their prayers. After just 23 days on the job, Flynn was fired in 2017 for lying to the FBI and Vice President Pence about contact with the then Russian ambassador before the inauguration.
He was targeted by the Obama administration, and he was targeted in order to try and take down a president.
President Trump has claimed Flynn was persecuted. Flynn tried to rescind his earlier guilty plea, and the Department of Justice had sought to withdraw the case against him, but it had been tied up in court. Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called the pardon an act of grave corruption and a brazen abuse of power.
Mr. President, you are connected.
Before issuing the pardon, President Trump from the White House called into a hearing held by Pennsylvania state Republican lawmakers, again falsely claiming he won.
This election was rigged and we can't let that happen.
Pennsylvania legislators involved in that hearing traveled to the White House to meet with President Trump Wednesday night. In Wilmington, President-elect Joe Biden gave a Thanksgiving Eve address, urging Americans to redouble their efforts to fight the pandemic.
We need to remember we're at war with a virus
not with one another.
On Monday, President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris are expected to receive their first high-level intelligence briefing. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. He's got our Thanksgiving Day forecast. Hopefully it'll be something to be thankful for.
Well, it was a little shaky this morning. Let me show you. Got a picture from Bozeman Pass this morning. This is what it looked like at 11:30, and I'm here to tell you it was not looking too good out there, folks. But right now, Doppler radar shows you the only snow we can find in south central Montana is pretty close to the Billings area. It kind of stepped around us, but not so much in Billings. More snow in Hardin and Lodge Grass right now. Pull back a little bit farther. We did have some snow around the Bozeman Pass area, but that stuff seems to be dissipating right now. And it's all part of a larger system, a cold front that's dropping out of the area tonight. As it does so, it will leave us with mostly sunny skies throughout most of Thanksgiving Day in the morning, throughout the afternoon, right on into Friday afternoon. Look for mostly sunny skies. So here's what your holiday forecast will look like. We're looking at mostly sunny skies, a little breezy, and 42 degrees, which should make it a very happy Thanksgiving. Russ?
Thank you, Bob. Well, the Fort Peck Dam is the largest filled dam in the world. 80 years ago, it officially opened in eastern Montana. It was and still is one of the greatest engineering marvels of all time, and its construction helped save the state during the Great Depression. Q2's Krista Rose recently traveled to Fort Peck to learn more about this incredible project and its place in Montana history.
Imagine it's 1933. America is in the depths of the Great Depression. There's no work to be had and food is scarce. Many around the country and here in Montana were in despair and the future looked grim. But one man gave them hope. His name? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. When Roosevelt took office that same year, he and many in the government set to the task of getting the country back to work. And one of the first places he turned was to Montana.
There had long been plans to control the flooding on the Missouri River, and the best way to do that was through a series of dams, the largest of which would be built right here in eastern Montana. What would follow next would be one of the largest construction projects in human history.
To get more of a sense of the size and scope of this project, I stopped by the Fort Peck Interpretive Center, run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and spoke to Director Sue Dalby.
The dam itself was huge, 4 miles long, out here in the middle of the northeastern prairie. It was almost 3/4 of a mile wide at the base, 250 feet tall, and just 50 feet wide at the top for Highway 24 to go across. The spillway alone is over a mile long, a concrete chute that handles floodwaters when we need that, and hundreds of miles of roads developed, 50 miles of train tracks developed to haul supplies and gravel. It was just a massive project.
A massive project that at its height saw over 10,000 workers, all living in temporary Corps barracks or makeshift boom towns, complete with schools, churches, restaurants, bars, and even a theater. And while people came from all over the country to work here, it was Montanans who had the first crack at jobs.
Many of them came from all over Montana. The Depression had hit Montana, 10 years prior to 1933. They were already suffering through the Dust Bowl. And so many Montanans came over to Fort Peck to work on the dam. The railroads were, really saw a benefit from the project. Power was brought from Great Falls. Contractors from all over the state and across the nation really were brought in to work on the dam as well. From surveying to seismographic work, to trucking, gravel pits, digging excavation companies, you name it, they were needed in this project.
Work at the dam was round the clock. It was grueling and not without hardship. In fact, some 60 people died during the construction. Today, there's a memorial that sits overlooking the dam to commemorate those who were lost.
Despite the setbacks on the project, the workers forged on, and in October of 1940, work was completed and the dam officially opened. Today, the dam is a massive power station. It also helps control flooding along the Missouri River, not to mention being a great place to catch some fish. But Sue thinks its legacy goes a little bit deeper than that.
I think the Fort Peck Dam illustrates the human aspect of Montana and the rest of the nation in the 1930s and how it really helped people make it through some tough times together. They found each other, did things for each other, and enjoyed each other's company. People really came out of the construction of the Fort Peck Dam era with a feeling of gratitude as well as accomplishment.
An accomplishment that is a testament to hard work, innovation, fortitude, and the belief that no matter what walk of life we come from, if we come together and have common vision, we can do great things. Reporting at the Fort Peck Dam, Chris DeRose, MTN News.
Thanks, Chris. Great story. And also a thank you to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Fort Peck Interpretive Center for all the historical photos and video. And you can learn more about the Fort Peck Dam by checking out this story on KTVQ.com. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2. Thanksgiving savings. Going to tell you why it may be cheaper to put the turkey and all the fixins on the dinner table tomorrow. And a little later in sports, after a couple delay of games, the Wyoming football team ready to hit the field once again. We're going to hear from the Cowboys coming up in just a bit.